We marvel at the serenity of the forest and crave the shroud of its silence. Enter. Ooh, that sounds nice, doesn't it? Well, hello and welcome back to Boring Dad Gaming, where today we're going to be playing some more Roadwarden. If you remember back to the last episode, we finally cured the plague in Old Pagos. Got some kudos for that. We're doing fairly well. We haven't got much money, but we're pretty healthy, all things considered. We've got a bit of food. Got another spirit rock, which we might take over to... I think it was White... Was it not in White Marshes? Might have been Gale Rocks. Actually, it was. It was the main fisher guy in Gale Rocks, wasn't it? Got a stylus and pad. Bronze rod. Still got some of those. We're in Foggy's place. We're all rested up, though. I think it's morning, isn't it? Let's have a quick look at the map. I don't exactly remember what we'd said we would do today. We could go up to Gale Rocks and give that spirit rock to... I want to call him Pathos, but that doesn't sound right. Let's go. Could be cleaner, but we're not all that bad, I suppose. Let's travel. Muddy roads today, so it's going to take us longer to get everywhere. Life is slowing down, and as you look around, many of the villagers are gathered at the western bank, preparing for a meal or a prayer. Only the youngest workers remain at their posts, maintaining the most crucial tasks, such as adding fuel to the flames. The guards are spread outside of the gates, watching the area carefully. Some of the locals greet you with polite nods and by mentioning your trade. So, we've, for the longest time, we only saw hostility, really, when the locals looked at us. But we've done a few things for Gale Rocks now, and they're greeting us with polite nods. So, I think we're slowly making friends with Gale Rocks, which is quite nice, because it was a very unfriendly place for a long time. The fishers are nowhere, so they might actually be north. So rather than waiting for them to return, why don't we go to the pier? It's not far. We could wash. Got a little bit cleaner. The water's freezing, and after you're done, sand makes you wait for a while before you dry up enough to put your clothes back on. The unpleasant touch of salt covering your skin will travel with you. Okay, so it wasn't the most successful cleaning we've ever done. Let's approach the pier. You're next to the shed. The fishers are in the middle of their work. Most of them are either away from the coast, casting the nets from the boats, or just walk around with hardly any clothes on them, using their fancily shaped spears to either catch a fish or a bird sitting at one of the rocks. There's also a few people on the land, resting, eating, and keeping an eye on the equipment. Let's head to the fishers. Photios, that's his name, inspects the equipment and discusses future plans with the workers on the coast. About the spirit rock. You've got it. I think what you're asking for may be risky. Why would it be? No one's ever been hurt by the previous stones. Eudocia herself told me the stone will likely kill any shell that can't hold the stone's pneuma. His face turns pale. She said this. After he clears his throat, he squeezes the monstrous beak on his chest, and his courage returns. Then you've spoken with her, and you know she's crazy. Instead of chatting with people, just bring me what I'm paying you for. Talk about to the old druid. Spirits? Why would you even listen to this pagan nonsense? He's just pushing his lies into you, he is. Pagan. Okay, so you're not impressed by pagans. What about Eli, the voice of the monastery? How does he suddenly scowls at you. Fine. If the monks say the right say so, I'll believe it. But wouldn't you try to heal a cut arm or a broken back? Even if her soul is, well, in her, it's going to struggle. We've done about Thyrsus saying that there's no way to heal the pneuma. Who cares about some skeleton shaggers? He gestures for you to stop, but his voice is far from convinced. I told you I may be wrong, but it doesn't mean that using the stone is going to be dangerous. That's all I have to say. About the spirit rock. What do we do? I mean, he's going to pay us. Might kill his daughter. Oh, we could... Let's give it to him. He lets out a triumphant shout. Good job, Roadwarden. I'll give it to her this very evening. I'll just grab your pay. After a few minutes, your pouch gets much larger, and the man shows the other fishes his new medicament, gaining their encouraging smiles and questions. So with that, we're doing all right for money now. We got 20, so I don't think I'll waste time fishing. I'll travel. I might go up to creeks. A, because I quite like creeks, and B, we're still looking for places to stick these bronze rods. I should have written down where I've already done it. Elder's Cave was one. We've done 4, haven't we? Elder's Cave, Howler's Dell, White Marshes, and we sneakily put one in the library, didn't we? Or on the Monk's Rock. So we haven't done one in Gale Rocks. Maybe we could speak to the head woman. What's that place? Well, let's go up there and see what she's got to say. You ascend the hill. The guard stands up and puts his woodwork on his pillow, then asks you to wait. You hear his and the head woman's voices coming from the hall, and once the man returns, he nods gently. You're asked to enter. I follow him inside. Okay, well, we'll tell her about us curing the plague in Old Pagos.
What do you mean, cure the plague?
She keeps her voice low, but the spark in her violet eyes betrays her utter shock. She clears her throat and rests her elbows on the desk.
Were they just getting cold?
You try to tell her the entire story, and even though at first she stares at you from above her clasped fingers, she seems to get smaller and weaker each time you mention the old druid, or the mysterious altar at the edge of the swamp. Finally, she stares at the wax tablet, defeated rather than joyful.
Oh, may the right bless the kindness of that pagan.
The perfume... Oh, sorry, this is the guard. May the right bless the kindness of that pagan. The perfume guard announces briskly. As well as yours, Roadwarden. You've helped our old friends in need where we thought there was no hope. Severina, he turns to the old woman, let's offer this stranger some help. Is there some labour you struggle with within our village? 5 free repairs of our gambazon might be nice. But that's taken a bit of a beating recently. We have got it at a reasonable shape again. Yeah, okay. Severina raises her head and sighs.
I'll speak with Rafina the tailor. She's close to the hill we're on. You'll need to take the path to the left, and you'll find her behind the dining tables.
Great. Ooh, can I borrow the key to the watchtower? She nods.
I've heard good things about you, I have, so I'll trust you with a spare one. But don't expect me to give you another one if you lose it.
She asks her granddaughter to fetch it, and after a minute or so, the cold iron object, not much larger than your finger, is placed in your hand. Thanks. She glances at the exit. The people of Old Pagos could use an old friend right now. Maybe some supplies for the winter. She straightens up and frowns.
I think you misunderstand the shape of our past alliance, you do. While it's true that our forebears had strong ties, even before Pagos started following the right in their own river of faith, for years now we've been at odds, contacting each other merely out of necessity. Ever since we were accused of robbing them.
She suddenly pauses, glancing at her granddaughter and clearing her throat.
Wrongly accused. We're not welcome to their gates, and I've no doubt they wouldn't help us either.
If you say so. All right, farewell. Nothing more to do here. Where is the watchtower that we're allowed in now? I don't even know. Maybe it's here. Watchtower. Nope. Okay. Well, let's look for these salters then. Oh, salter. There we go. The building, and someone pointed this out in the comments as well when we were exploring the skeleton tunnel, that the building sort of the path in the tunnel's lit up, showing us which part we were at, and it actually does it on the... I've noticed it definitely in Gale Rocks. I can't say I've noticed it too much in other places, but it does light up. That's the bathhouse, for instance, down here, and it lights up when we're there. So these are the salters. The building has many entrances and windows, and each of them lets out so much steam that one could take this place for a city sauna. You address a man that's carrying a basket of firewood.
I'm working, he growls. Speak with Albus.
The last word is shouted through the open door to another worker. Hearing it, he looks in your direction, puts away a wooden mould and heads outside, taking a few deep breaths of cool air.
Cheers, cheers, all by yourself? Who do you represent?
He's not older than 30. Matching his name, his skin and hair are white, though with healthy pink hidden in his cheeks, nose and lips, making him look as if he's blushing. When you state vaguely that you're from Hovland, his curiosity is already satisfied.
All right, good to have you back after, 5 years? Our process is the same, and so the lumps look the same. The guild will be satisfied. Better keep your head low.
I follow him inside. The tour takes a good couple of minutes, and while your guide seems very confident in describing the salt-making process step by step in great detail, he doesn't take into consideration that you may be completely unqualified to have a conversation about the topic. You try to catch the gist of it, though neither the sound of the flames and scratching, nor the humid air, or the smell of sweaty bodies helps you to focus. The brine is carried here from a cave pond deep beneath the village, and then boiled in large open pans made of coarse ceramic, heated by stoves. As water evaporates, it leaves salt behind and steams a few planks above it, before they get back to the carpenters.
The salt is carried onto a drying surface then lumped into white bricks,
he says. Oh, he isn't saying that, in fact. I missaw these quote marks. The salt is carried onto a drying surface, then lumped into white bricks with the use of wooden moulds.
Many things can go wrong, he finishes his tale, but nothing goes to waste. Them shard lumps get into our fish barrows. All's good. We won't sell you anything of poor quality.
I'll try to learn a bit about the price. It gives you a few numbers, how many coins, how much flour, or how much iron the locals would take for a single lump, and at first the prices surprise you. But you then take one of the clumps and rub it with your thumb. 1 brick would be more than a household would use in a year. Albus interrupts your thoughts.
Questions?
You put the salt on a table and glance at the steaming pan again. Even though there are only 3 workers here, you realise the production must consume a mound of firewood every year. I ask him where they get their trees from. He doesn't answer right away, choosing his words carefully.
We have supplies and we trade them with other villages, or at least used to. We cut trees as well, used to do some more back in the day. We had a lumberjack hamlet far away, so the beast didn't get angry, they didn't.
I thank him for his time and let him work in peace. We could look for the smoker. Oop, I did snooker. That's not anything. While fish are being smoked at any fireplace you find, the dedicated smokehouse is at the edge of the village, and we can see it lit up here. I think that's it there. This is all lit up, but that's maybe because of the lights around. I don't know, but it's definitely here. Close to the sultry, but far enough to save the locals from some of its smell. You exchange a few words with the workers, learning that salting takes place mainly during night time after the fresh fish arrive, and the smoking occurs all day long above torched shavings without much supervision. Who's saying this?
Smoked fish stay fresh for longer than you think unless you take them outside. Then the rotting starts after merely a few days, so we only sell them to the closer villages. Salted fish last for seasons, but you have to rinse them rightly in a stream or they'll burn your mouth with all them salt.
As you observe the workers, most of them seem either old, tiny, or hindered by past wounds. You notice how stiff their fingers seem to be, covered with cuts, making you wonder how much salt gets into even the slightest of scratches. Yet they talk with ease, spending most of their hours gathered in the square, chatting face to face without care, saying not a word about the smell and sight of the scaled, gutted and boned creatures that surround them. You ask about the prices of their barrels of fish and the way they're transported, learning that flour and other supplies are worth more to the locals than dragon bones. After a few minutes you exchange goodbyes, trying to memorise the details useful for the city guild. While there are always fresh fish available in Hovland, having a secure supply of preserved meat would be worth many coins during stormy or frozen days. For someone else? No, that's enough for now. Actually, we've lost the little message now that says we need to look for more in the village. So that tells me that we have, in fact, done everything, or found every location here. Let's go to Rafina. Maybe we can repair our armour again. Oh, that's as good as she can make it, and our stuff doesn't need any things like that. No, I think not. Armour doesn't actually sell us anything. I don't think the Fletcher sold us anything either, did he? We might... No, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything useful there. So we've got 9 3/4 hours before dusk. Which is a fair amount of time. We can get to creeks in less time than that. I wonder if that's the watchtower she's given us the key to. It's possible. It's a long way away from them, though. Let's go back to creeks. I want to ask them about putting a bronze rod on. We'll have done 5 then if there is something where we can put it here. And that's enough to go back to Eudocia and get paid. A few souls carrying wooden and stone weapons and tools are just leaving the village. Once you reach the yard, you hear the cosy rustling of shrubs growing on the other side of the palisade. We go to the Shallow Creek. With the calming sounds of the waterfall around you, you observe the stream as clean as a spring. The oak ash, the teeth set and the perfume you own can help you get cleaner. Well, let's do that. We're actually 4 out of 5 now with those. There are no fish or plants to bother with, and your feet find mud among the not always smooth pebbles. The water reaches above your waist, allowing you to have some fun and wash every spot of your shell. Thanks to the gentle flow, you're able to remove the mud stains from your clothes and boots. I step away. Well, let's look for Elar. He seems to be as close to a chief as we found here. He's trying to carve something on the surface of a wooden mug, but you don't recognise the shape. He waves to you with a chisel.
Hi there, friend. I see you've taken a liking to our village.
I've helped clear the plague from old Pagos. Elar's grin is soon followed by his raised voice.
And you're serious? Everyone!
He addresses other people working near the square.
Tell the others, the plague is gone, we're safe.
After his eyes return to you, he clears his throat and turns away again. Old Pagos is safe. You explain briefly what happened, and he spends a good few moments considering the old druid's part.
Oh, I wouldn't expect someone from Howlers to help another soul in need,
he says while his hand clenches the bottom part of his cloak.
Not since they're ruled by a tyrant. Oh, but it's not the first time this forest speaker has protected the peninsula from a grave threat.
He smiles at you.
And so did you, I guess.
I'd like to place this rod somewhere high. It belongs to the enchantress. He grabs the rod and looks at it with caution.
Oh, I wouldn't call her our friend exactly. You'd do better selling this.
Swinging it left and right like a club, he tells you to wait.
It can't be just my decision. I'm going to ask the others, at least a few of them.
You rest at a table and observe how the man approaches various souls and exchanges a few words with them. It takes him so long you manage to get bored enough to indulge a little girl who'd like to pet Roach. The man returns without the rod.
Well, my tribe calls you a fair soul.
He smiles and wipes the sweat off his forehead.
We'll put it at the watchtower. There aren't that many birds that would steal something of this size.
I'm worried about those bandits, Elar. He looks at you for a bit, then nods slowly.
Oh, well, those are not some strangers, but folks to the north, our neighbours. One of them is from our very own tribe. And they don't target us, just strangers.
You ask him again if he's sure no one from his village has been targeted so far, and after a cold eye, he reaches for a carving knife. Be serious now, Elar. I need to know what happened to Asterion. He springs up, still holding his tools and demonstrating his threatening physique, and raises his voice.
I am serious. I don't know.
He looks behind him and even takes a step back, but with every few gestures, his breath gets a bit slower.
He said there's something of great value hidden in the wilderness, Roadwarden. A treasure, I think. And that treasure would change the north.
He rubs his forearms, but there is still tension in his shell.
He needed help we couldn't give him, and he told us to prepare for Glaucia and her bandits to come for supplies. He paid for them up front, but she never came. Neither did he.
When he sits down again, he doesn't look at you.
I never saw him like that before. He was tired and worried, friend. His words lacked confidence. It may very well be that something caught him, but we weren't a part of this. Now please, let me be.
So he told us to prepare for Glaucia and her bandits to come for supplies, and paid for them. Interesting, interesting. Very well. You go back to the old farmer. She got any decent supplies? Oh, I take a roast chicken. 1 coin. That's fine. There's Ephron. About the hunters. Yeah, I haven't really found anything about them yet, have I? Nothing really from him. Can we stay here? They're not really offering it to us, are they? I mean, we could go back to Foggy, but then I feel like I've sort of wasted the day a little bit. And we'd have 3 hours after we get there. I don't think there's going to be anywhere around here to rest. But it feels a bit early to kind of settle down at Foggy's, doesn't it? Maybe we could go here, and then we could always turn back. Alright. Persuaded myself. Oh, what's this? The only tracks in sight belong to small critters. The cabin has no window, but a stubborn beast could easily burst in through the old thatch. The gust of wind doesn't move the door. A curious ibex observes you from the crag, but flees from your gaze. Alright, let's quick time check. 2:45. Can we get back anywhere? We can just get back to Foggy Lake, I think. Actually, no, that's not right. I check on the cabin. You tether Roach to the supporting beam. His curious eyes are tracking the crickets that jump among the grass blades. You stretch your limbs, adjust your armour, and reach for the axe. Let's eavesdrop first. You sneak towards the door and crouch down. After maybe a minute, the quiet rattle comes from the inside, something similar to the sound of cracking knuckles. Ooh. You peer inside and just barely see a small part of the dusty room. A large spider web is spread among the knocked-down furniture. What does the pneuma do? Okay, well, we don't necessarily need that. Let's grab my axe and raise my shield. Let's get inside. A spider looks at you from the centre of the web. Its shell is larger than your head. The thin legs are longer than your arms. Its countless hair blends in with the walls. They're brown, grey and cream. What do you do? Ugh. Just leave? Let me think. What do you try to do? Stab? Kill the spider? How about swing axe? Just do axe. You rush forward and the spider skitters off, shaking the entire web. Ooh, you fail to avoid its spit. The sticky ooze hits your eyes, covering them like glued cloth. Well, I'm not dropping my weapon. Alright, swing my blade left and right without pause. Lost a bit of health there. You cut the air at knee height, but somehow the creature reaches your side. Your calf gets pierced by the sharp spear sharp leg. Your heart beats faster, yet you keep control over your limbs and remain standing. The next swing lands, but the sack of flesh smacks the floor and clicks in agony. You hear only your own heart and the chirping of the insects outside. You're getting sweaty. Your eyelids can't even blink. You drop the axe on the floor and then sit on the threshold blindly. I remove it gently, bit by bit. Got a bit grubby. The saliva clings tightly to your skin, but stretching it with your fingers helps. The eyelids are the worst part, but you're grateful for your reflexes. At least you still have your eyes. You get to see the light slowly and then the shapes. The thing turns out to be grey and white. Okay. You stand up and look around. The room is covered with a thick layer of dust. Getting through the web could be risky. A single thread won't stop you, but a bunch of them could grapple you for good. Someone could be interested in such a thick web. Oh, mind you, an hour. Oh, we've only got... This doesn't bode well. I don't think we can get back to civilization. Let's leave now. Where can we travel to? Damn it, we've done it again. Alright. Well, might as well spend the hour. Let's gather the web. You bring a twig from the outside and use it as a spool. You don't have much practice, and wearing the gloves makes the necessary gestures even more awkward. From time to time, the silk breaks, but it shouldn't be a problem for a tailor. Oh, actually, there was... Which tailor was it? It might have been Rafina. One of the tailors mentioned something about getting spider silk, and they could improve our clothes or the strength of our armour. I think it might have been in Howler's Dell. It's a material for stitching and wouldn't be turned into a cloth anyway. You notice maybe a dozen defenceless spiderlings. They flee towards the exit with their speed limited by their tiny legs, smaller than a finger. They're running away, aren't they? They can live. The spiders crawl over the threshold and disappear among the grass blades. It could be the first time they've ever been touched by the sun. We could search the building. The chest hides a few old water skins and inedible stale rations. Among them, however, you find 2 quarrels for a crossbow. The bones have no obvious owner, but judging by their age and the lack of skull or human-like hands, you doubt they could be awoken by the fogs. The boots, rugged pants, and an old sticky tunic and other scraps are cheap and hide no jewellery. The bowls and mugs are empty. I guess we could drag the carcass away and throw it into the forest. You put on your thick gloves and grab 4 spider legs at once. The corpse isn't heavy, so you drag it behind you. You reach the bushes at the edge of the road, then lift up the entire creature. The more you shake it, the more distracting the twitches of its legs get. You send it into a tree trunk. It sinks into the thicket, causing a bit of a rustle among the dwellers. You go back in, there's probably not much left to do here, is there? Seek shelter? We're going to lose all our health. Oh, okay. We'll do our healing spell when we rest. You hear a commotion coming from the lake, drawing your eyes to the air bubbles and water ripples. After a couple of moments, a scrap of the lake turns red. There are dozens of feathers scattered around the yard, as well as some bloodstains on an apron that's hung on the fence. Okay, it's entered the tavern. You smell food. There are empty bowls and mugs scattered around, right next to a bucket of water. Foggy is standing in the middle of the room, lost in her thoughts. She welcomes you with a smile. Does she want to buy anything? No, I want my precious troll urine. Can I buy something? I've already got 2 meals left. I'll probably have one of those in the morning. Yeah, we'll do that in the morning. We'll sleep. We'll rent. Oops, I meant to cast the magic healing spell, and I forgot. The dark skies don't let go. It's another night of rainfall. Never a break, huh? Don't suppose we've healed up any. Oh, we healed a bit. Alright. That's usual text. I won't read that every time. I'd like to eat, please. She stretches out her arm and grabs a bowl. Give me a moment. You sit down at the clean table. After a moment, the keeper brings you old rye bread, a fistful of nuts, a roasted rat, and a mug of acorn brew. Yum, yum. Once you're done, Foggy packs the leftovers for you as a snack for the rest of the day and mentions you've already paid for another 1 meal. Alright, well, let's leave. Roach is fighting off some flies with its tail. Okay, well, let's travel on. It's going to be a slow day, I would think. Good, and here I think we might join this watchtower path up quite soon. So let's continue down this route. That doesn't bode well. I don't like that music. The gentle road leads uphill, getting more rocky and bright as the trees grow sparse. Just in case, your eyes turn towards a few drier parts of the meadow, and you instantly shout at Roach to make haste. A pack of short-haired wolves, at least 20 members strong, is chasing after you. Their coats are a mixture of yellow, black and white spots, as if someone threw mud and paint at them. They move towards the road with a human-like speed, and you realise only some of them run straight at you. They're trying to cut my path. If it wasn't for your palfrey, the beast would already have caught up with you. Their trap was perfectly set up, not leaving you any path of escape. Your terrified mount is disciplined enough to stay on the beaten path, and even though one of the big-eared wolves almost sinks its teeth into your mount's thigh, you manage to squeeze between the hunters. For the next few minutes you do your best to get further away, and while your gallop is indeed faster, the wolves easily shorten the distance by moving through the sparse forest. You cross a weird river bridge made of a stone slab. Ooh, but the chase doesn't stop yet. Maybe I could use something here. You think about your sacks and bundles, but the pack won't wait for you to sort through things. The group gets larger the further you go, and even more of its members, previously hidden among the rocks and grasses, now join the hunt, allowing their tired family members to slow down. You may be able to lose them after some time, but scaring or wounding some of them may force them to give up on their prey sooner. Right, we'll have an option to use magic here. I'll push one of the beasts with Pneuma. Let's do that. You reach for your wand and focus on channeling your strike, then push an invisible wave right at the wolf that's closest to you, sending it flying. It hits a boulder with a painful cry, but as you get away it still moves. Its concerned allies seem to be more confused than scared. Only a few of them try to keep up, while many more stay behind and try to figure out what just happened, and if their pack member is safe. After another few minutes you're alone again, and once again at the foot of the watchtower. Roach is tired, but patient, more happy to survive than it is angry at your wanderlust. At least you can hope the pack will move to a different place during the night. I let it rest for a bit and look around. So I think we've closed the loop now. The watchtower is blending with the wilderness slowly. For a moment you think the gate's position has changed since your last visit, but once you get closer you're sure there are no fresh tracks. Okay, well let's go up to the entrance. The door is locked. Okay, well we know about that. So we're going to use the key from Old Pagos. I don't remember getting a key from Old Pagos, but there we go. It goes smoothly, and after a bit of fidgeting you find the right spot. You hear the heavy mechanism giving in to your will, followed by the creaking of rusty hinges. An empty table stands in the middle of a large round room filled with dusty furniture. Without the open door you'd struggle to see anything. I wait to make sure there's nothing trying to jump on me. The first thing you notice is that the room isn't high, and just like the window suggested, there's a second floor above it. The scent sparks an image of a cellar, humid but without much mustiness. Tree stumps used as stools surround a round table in the centre, now covered in dust. The shelves are empty with no tool left behind, and you see a couple of dishes laying in various spots, empty, sticky. The bugs are crawling both on the furniture and near the walls. Spiders, roaches, worms. You think about taking a look into one of the casks, but the smell coming from it makes you change your plans. Instead, you climb up the ladder. The view there isn't much different. The floor is covered with pieces of trash, dirty furniture and sleeping pallets, which are moist, smelly, and full of wriggling and chirping creatures. I don't care about some bugs, I just need to ignore them. You climb down. Roach is looking at the grass outside, still touched by sunlight. You approach the windows, each one locked with 2 heavy wooden bars. Opening them would not be a problem, but knocking them down from the outside won't be an easy task. You sigh with relief. It's a safe place. Let's go and put a bronze rod on the roof. I think that's 6 of 8 now. You climb up the ladder and push the trapdoor with one hand. The planks are thick, and as they fall down under their own weight, they make a loud thud. You find a crack between 2 of the bricks and use the rod to widen it a bit. You push it halfway and fill the gaps with the linen cloth. You move it a couple of times just to be sure it won't detach. You wonder if it's going to lure any lightning. I climb down. Following the clue from Old Pagos, I look for anything that Asterion could have left behind. You start to move around all sorts of furniture, light and heavy. Among various pieces of garbage that you have to push aside, you find something unusual in the space between one of the pallets and the wall. An old moulding wax tablet. There are some writings inside it. Other than that, the place seems to be empty, unless you count broken pottery and ragged clothes. For now I hide it in my bag and put everything back in its place. Time to wash my hands. You're at the ground floor of the watchtower. Dozens of little creatures run away from the new source of light. I go outside. Okay, I think we're done there. Travel. Okay, so we need to wait a day for the wolves to leave the old bridge, but that we were told that if we crossed that and headed east, I believe, we get to the old green mountain things. That's worth checking out at some point. I'm going to go back to Eudocia, and we'll get paid for I think we've done 6 of 8, so we'll hopefully get paid for those rods. A loud roar comes from the north, making your palfrey stop. After a few heartbeats, it snorts and moves along. You touch the cold chest. There's no response. So she said something about not coming in until midday. I feel like we're almost at midday. If that middle spike is midday, we're almost there. I guess we wait. Oh wow, it took quite a long time actually, didn't it? It's getting colder, but finally the monster's eyes glow red.
Go inside, I'll be with you soon.
The stone creature lets you in, and I enter the yard. Eudocia closes the door behind her.
You're back.
I bring news of your parents. She takes a deep breath.
Tell me.
I'm so sorry, Eudocia. She closes her eyes. Her voice becomes absent.
Back to trade then.
I'm going to lower the price of my spirit rocks for you. For 2 dragons. I think that's fair. She opens her grey eyes and you notice the tears. Her voice is shaking.
I need a moment.
If it's any consolation, the plague itself is no more. You tell her about your deeds, but she stares into the distance without so much as a gesture and doesn't ask you a single question. It takes her a minute to form a few words.
So there was no hope for them, but now it's there for others. Thank you.
I'm afraid I need to ask you some other questions. She wipes her face on her sleeve, then nods, crosses her arms and gives you a chilling look. I show her the chisel from Old Pagos. It used to belong to a sculptor. Do you recognise it? A sad grimace cuts through her face as she rubs her arms. After a few breaths, she holds out her open palm. I give her the chisel. She stands upright in the centre of the yard with feet spread apart, arms stretched out and the chisel placed in her right hand. After a few heartbeats, the steel rod floats in the air, maybe 2 feet away from her face, rotating slowly, rising up and descending, like a stick on a pond surface. Her grey eyes are tender, her voice is close to a whisper.
As a kid, I made a few toys that moved on their own, but they lasted no longer than a single afternoon. A spoon that made all stuff taste sweet until it melted. One candle that shined, one that gave out a green light, but they also turned into stumps.
Eudocia's long dark hair is now waving around her, but there's no wind.
I wanted to make aught that would last, with no end. I was 12, such an adult soul.
She lets out a chuckle.
So I turned my back on my toys and took my father's old favourite tool. It was always in the shed, for he was afraid it would wear away.
I heard he was using it to the very end.
I can see that.
Her brief laughter adds strength to her voice.
The stitches I used to hold the pneuma inside are dwindling. I'll restore them in no time.
She grabs the chisel swiftly. Her hair falls on her shoulders, her eyes now focused as if she's an artisan solving a puzzle.
But why keep it the same? A new owner could put it to a new use.
What do you mean?
Currently, the chisel adapts to the surface it touches. When used against glass, it makes powerful hits gentler. When against stone, it strengthens them. You get the idea.
She points at you with the tool and puts her weight on her leg.
I'll remove these limitations, make it so it will simply enhance any strike made with it. A weapon, well, against rocks, a tool of destruction.
She looks up and starts to laugh at her own joke. Her relaxed shell makes her look like a different soul. Sounds useful indeed. She returns to her previous position.
Better go ahead and find out what to do. I'm not a kid anymore, but it may still take me a while.
The chisel floats again, carefully examined by the enchantress. You find yourself a wooden block and sit down. You inspect your clothes, especially the cloak, and take a look at your blade. Finally, the enchantress stands still, holding her new creation in one hand and scratching her chin with the other. You gather your stuff and approach her, but she doesn't look at you. Something wrong?
No, not at all. I'm just surprised. She hands it back to you. I didn't expect that my past intuition was this sharp. I thought it would take me much longer. Well, go ahead, test it. Maybe there.
She points at the wall behind her house. The chisel is just as warm as it was when you received it in Old Pagos, but now it quivers gently, as if it's barely confining its power. You press it against one of the larger bricks, then hit it with the blunt side of your axe. The rock moves by about 2 inches with a pattern of cracks that resemble broken glass. After your next strike, it falls out of the wall, leaving behind only a cloud of dust. Shocked, I step back.
Eudocia welcomes your return with a confident smile. Pretty good, huh? Thanks to you, I finished what I left behind many years ago.
She takes a deep breath.
Let me know if you need aught else.
I spoke with the monks. They're quite afraid of you.
Are they now?
She meets your eyes.
What did they tell you?
As you recollect your memory, she patiently listens to your tale, staring into the distance with her arms crossed.
So that's how they see me now, a beast spending every breath to hurt them. Yet still they ask me to put spells in their tools.
She remains still, moving only her lips, drawing out every word.
All it took was for me to move on, to leave them behind. They call themselves pacifists, unlike bloodshedding unites, they say, yet still forced my tribe to work for them, from their birth to their pyre.
It's the same sickness of the soul, believing that you see the truth, that all other souls are blind. When she realizes that her voice is getting close to a shout, she falls silent. The roads around the watchtower are terrible shape. Why don't your golems look after them? Why would I bother? You expect her to continue, but her question is earnest. Well, the paths are getting overgrown. Soon getting to the other villages will be close to impossible. She twirls her hair, looking in the direction of the tower. It may be for the better. She starts listlessly, then shakes her head gently. Yeah, you may be right. I hope the trail would take care of itself, with traders and all, but the years are getting emptier. Still, I need my workers to seek food and to guard my walls. She speaks mostly to herself. I could bring you some rations in return. She observes her boots and crosses her arms. The more bronze rods there are spread across the peninsula, the easier it is for me to send the golems into the woods. For now, let's say 21 rations. I guess gentler roads will get me more food anyway, so I don't need you to bring me any barrels. Well, I don't have that much. I'll think about it. Yeah, I'm listening. I want to collect my reward for the bronze rods. Eudocia wipes her hands on her robe and puts one into her pocket and waits for you to describe the locations where you've placed the rods. She asks you for a few details, then thinks aloud. Let's see. 6 rods in totals, that would be... Here you go. So I've got 18 dragon bones. I pull out my pouch. Great, keep it up. Okay, I'm looking for Asterion. I'm sure I've already asked her, but maybe because I've done stuff for her, I can ask questions again. She looks in the distance, holding one arm across her stomach and twirling her hair with the other. I should smoke aught, or at least gather wood. The summer's almost over. I stay silent. After a few long breaths, she rubs her left shoulder. Her voice is weaker. Maybe you'll find him after all and help him instead of causing him harm. Her description of his appearance matches what you heard from Julia. Don't be deceived by his height, she adds. He brought me herbs guarded by a bear folk. Not many could match his spear and bow. In return for his various favours, I shoved Numa into his cloak, making it as warm and soft as the pelt of a white wolf. Best sleep of my life. She raises her daydreaming eyes. Her voice grows confident. If Asterion is still here, I'm sure he still has the cloak. He's green and has a light hood with embroidered leaves. When was the last time you saw him? Soon before he vanished. He was anxious, tired, unkind, but from a heavy heart. He didn't explain. I didn't ask. She's still talking? I think she's... No. He rested at her place for a few hours, healed himself with magic and prepared his equipment. She shows a surprising memory for details, but not especially useful ones. He told me he was going to start a great journey and that he'd bring back many stories, but he was afraid. I know he was. Did he ask for anything weird before he left? Maybe he wanted something? She scratches the sand with her foot. Yes, actually, he wanted to borrow a golem of mine. She seems to finish her tale, but after seeing your look, she clears her throat. Oh, that's not an option. I have no way to stay in touch with the sentinels that are far away from here. Do you have any message for him in case I find him? Message? Just tell him he still owes me for the cloak. He knows we're not even. It's a damn treasure. She puts on a smile, but her eyes betray her melancholy. You seem to be afraid of the bandits, Eudocia. She glances at the gate. I'm not afraid. Glaucia is fucking terrifying. Here's a little tip and engrave it on your soul. She can't be reasoned with. If you're strong, threaten her. If weak, ask her for mercy, I guess. She wanted to work with me, but I need no right to know her soul is wicked. She takes a step towards you. I think they're somewhere in the deep woods. I don't know much about these lands. I've got other stuff to worry about. There's only one place I know of that could keep an entire band, the old lumberjack camp. But you won't reach it through any of the main roads, so... She steps back. That's that. What's she got to trade? Spirit rocks. I mean, I could buy one. I thought she said she'd reduced it in price by 2. It seems to have gone up by 1. It was 10, wasn't it? Alright, well, we'll spend 9. It is getting a bit late. Let's have a quick look at the travel options. Yeah, I could get back to the watchtower. Maybe rest there? But that's it. So, let's see if she'll let us rest here. It's getting late. Can I spend a night in your shed? She sizes you up, opens her mouth, but then lets out a sigh. I guess it is getting chilly outside, and you don't act like a bandit so far. So just don't carry any candles inside. I store hay there. I could offer her work in the city? Alright, we can talk about it. You glance at her absent eyes. She has shown you signs of trust, but you won't convince her with just a smile. The more you'll learn about the peninsula, the more arguments you'll have at your disposal. We could discuss it. She takes a deep breath and looks at your ear, frowning. Are you taking off your mask? I simply think it's a good moment to have an honest conversation about our shared efforts.
It may be, she says slowly, and I guess it means you're leaving soon. Come, take a walk with me.
How many days do we have left, actually? Day 19, so we're just over halfway through our mission here. While we're heading towards the gate, I will be sleeping here, mind. I tell her about my deal with the guild. You mentioned the merchants, the officials, and the high status of the enchanters among the city folk. She lets you speak without interruption, observing the surroundings. Still barefoot and with a worn robe, she looks like a cook in a herbal garden. You approach the pond and she takes a deep breath. The geese in the distance are as grey as her irises.
Oh, we're just in time. The air's still fresh.
Her tone is hard to decipher, but she keeps taking long pauses.
I built so much, and over so many years. Now you want me to tie myself to some coin holders? Or even worse, leave all this?
She waves towards her residence.
Behind?
You know best how much you've learned since the day you enchanted that old chisel. In the city you could speak with other masters, learn how to read scrolls. You'd unlock your potential. You may not know many details about her style of magic, but you've met a few respected spellcasters in the city. You mentioned their comfortable houses, as well as the golemic limbs aiding workers, candles that last for days, helmets that help sailors talk during storms. She observes the birds flying towards the eastern mountains, listening carefully.
Other masters.
She tastes your words as she repeats them.
I haven't needed them so far, but...
She doesn't finish, instead giving you a kind smile. You could say the peninsula is a dangerous... Well, I don't think she'll care about that. The city folk will start negotiations. You don't have to be left out. You're close to the crag behind the residence, observing the heavy golem that's lifting large boulders and moving them aside. So far it has formed a small pile of rocks that resemble its own limbs. You describe the support you've already gathered, as well as your further plans.
Yeah, I can either face the avalanche or wait for it to bury me,
she summarises, and lowers her voice. No one's going to honour my own will. Can you be sure the monks won't turn the neighbours against you? She cocks her head to the side.
So far they've done naught to hurt me. I went as far away from them as I could have. I bother no one.
Well, you know how easy it is to suddenly disappear in this land. Just think about Asterion.
I'd rather not.
She rubs her arms above the elbows as if to warm herself up.
I just hope he's all right.
Peninsula's a dangerous place, with little help to offer. I know that better than anyone. You mentioned the monsters you've encountered, the destroyed village by the southern road, the undead of White Marshes, the troll from the old camp in Hag Hills, the plague, the missing hunters, her own fear of the bandits. She hesitates still.
I guess I ought to trust you on this one.
What's your decision? You answer a few more questions about the city, but her doubts only grow.
So all I got is your word and the unspoken plans of your puppeteers.
For a few more breaths, you listen to the branches and grass trampled by your feet. Finally, Eudocia looks in the distance and gestures for you to follow her back to the gate.
I can't agree to this so boring. This is my home. My real home.
Anything I can do to make you reconsider?
I'll let you know.
She starts, but then speeds up her walking. Her eyes are wandering nervously as if she's looking for a way to flee. You reach the front yard, greeted by Roach's curious snort. The enchantress heads towards her house, but stops herself from opening the door. About the words in your golems. She thinks for a bit, then meets your eyes.
They hold my spells. Each one means out different. Look, chase, beast, or run. The golems are meant to hunt, and I hope if that aught happens to them, I'll have the option to put these enchanted rocks onto other shells.
She twirls her hair.
A nice little trick, though I'm not sure it works. I plan to use a few more words, like dig or lumber.
Since you're writing on your golems, could you read some things for me? Her eyes widen, but then she smiles.
Hey, you got it wrong. I ask others to write down the words I need, together with pictures, and I'll copy them.
You could go to She lets out a sigh. The monastery in the far mountains. Alright, probably fine. So although it's we can't really get anywhere in that kind of time, not with the muddy roads, so let's just sleep, I guess. I'll remember to do the Pneuma spell this time, get a bit more health, recover a little less magic. Food and cleanliness, that's fine. So there's a soft haystack on which you can lay down. The golems are ordered to scare off any intruders, and the walls will protect you from the wind. You can also use a wash tub and repair your equipment. Okay. Sleep. Oh, what happens here? Oh, no, it's just that. The halfway point is behind you. In just 20 days, you'll need to ride back to Hovleven, otherwise the roads will get too dangerous for a lone rider. I could also speak with Julia. Maybe she'll be willing to head to the city earlier. Well, I don't want to head off earlier. I'm going to use all this time, I think. Oh, good. We got lots of health back. You let Roach drink outside, then both of you in the shed. Oh, sorry, then close both of you in the shed. There isn't much fodder around. The dragons from the mountains wake you up with their roars, but the heavy steps of the sentinels ease your soul. The yard is carefully patrolled. Some of the hay gets under your clothes, but at least your back doesn't ache in the morning. You let your palfrey outside. No soul shows up to greet you, and the door of the house is ajar. I go inside. The chamber was meant to only have one dweller, but even in Hovleven it would be seen as outrageously tiny. The air carries the scent of sweat and dirty clothes, but more importantly, smoke. A couple of fish and other pieces of meat are hanging above the hearth, even though there's no fire left. Eudocia is sitting on the floor with her back leaning against the wooden step, legs outstretched, feet resting on a wooden pillar. She's staring intensely at a long, smoking pipe in her fingers. I greet her first. She nods, but doesn't look at you. The house is a mess. If it bothers you, complain to the broth I made. A long pause. Take a seat if you want. Take a seat on the wooden step near the fireplace. Do I get food? So what brings you here? We could trade. Still just the spirit rock for sale, is it? I guess I go outside. I was hoping for some food. But it's okay. Let's. We could eat some. We could eat our roast chicken. Why don't we just do that? I think that actually fills us up. I thought it said there was a barrel I could wash in. I'm not too bad in most respects, but I am very dirty. Never mind. So, travelling. Well, we've got two options. We could head west and go into the woods in the middle of the forest, or we could try and find this tribe of the Green Mountain. But I think we'll do that in the next episode. So we're going to leave it there. I think I probably will look for the tribe of the Green Mountain next, before we head through the dangerous forest to find the bandits. I'm not quite sure why. But yeah. So, thanks very much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then please do hit the like button on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. That'd be fantastic. And in the meantime, I hope to see you again for more Roadwarden. Bye for now.